you have been doing something I find absolutely incredible, which is upping the sexual bedroom IQ as well as sexual experience and enjoyment of women around the planet.
Okay, so what is that?
You've been doing it for a very long time, and most recently you actually have, I think, one more out of a series of 8 live classes that you've done called Jade Alchemy, and it's your advanced Jade practice, which normally you'd only taught before in person.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's very much a bespoke group coaching experience, and by that I mean that you are interacting with, watching, and ensuring that every woman is doing these practices in a way that doesn't create either physical or psychological damage, and evolves with them emotionally. Now that's already a feat to do just with one person, but to do that on a group level and then to do that again online was something that you're like, well, this isn't haven't done before.
Yes.
But the results that you've had have been so incredible. So today I just wanted to get into what that teaching experience is like, what is advanced, what is correct Jade egg practice, what has been the result of these women, and how and if it is translated into the bedroom. And I might even share some of my personal experiences.
Jeez.
Being on the receiving side of being around after these sessions have happened.
So where would you like me to start?
Well, first of all, let's just start off with a little bit of background on the Jade egg, why someone would even do such a thing versus buy a vibrator. If you're a woman, you want to be able to experience orgasm and pleasure, you're told, get lube, get a vibrator. What's this thing with the Jade egg?
Well, we already did a few episodes on the Jade egg, so I don't really want to go into it very much. It's a solo practice. You can use an egg or not. The thing that makes it interesting is the style in which you get to build trust with your body, build intimacy with your body, build a depth of somatic and interoceptive awareness, build confidence, playfulness, kind of expand your erotic landscape. So all of that becomes available when it's properly done.
So we have had episodes on Jade egg mastery. I think we also had one on training yourself to be a judo master of pleasure. Yes. Training your pussy to be a judo master of pleasure. But my specific question that I'd like you to address is, in this episode, which I don't think we've discussed before, is why would a woman go this route as opposed to the typical route of lubrication and a vibrator?
Okay. Well, I mean, there's only so much that we can do in terms of if we were just lying there as a passive receiver, for example. There's only so much enjoyment that can come from that. At some point, we need to become an active receiver, which is your terminology, but it's definitely something that I've been aware of my whole personal time with this practice and the career teaching it. And so it's beyond just lube and vibrators, because what it is you're becoming your own best lover, essentially. You're getting to know your own landscape so powerfully that no matter what position you or someone else moves your body into, you're well aware of, well, what are the angles? What's the rhythm? What's the movement that feels most delicious? Or what is even pleasure for me in this experience, and can I follow it? Can I amplify it? Can I breathe into it? Can I surrender more completely to it? So that's why we do this internal practice.
What I'm hearing is that there is a certain level of agency that a woman can proactively bring herself to pleasure, which is more than just take this toy, apply it to my clitoris. So what are some of these ways that get overlooked and that with the Jade egg practice gets brought up a little bit more to the forefront? Well,
let me share a little bit the feedback I've been receiving, because there's been a lot of different types of feedback, but one that seems to be reflected over and over again is, thank you so much for slowing me down. When I'm left to my own thing, I rush through the experience, I try and get there, wherever there is. And even the
normally
woman
an orgasm to be able to then fall asleep.
Yeah, but even the woman, like when she's sharing, she's recognized that the place that she used to rush to get to isn't actually where she wants to be. So there's a discovery process that in the slowing down, then we are enhancing the sensual aspect of having a body and exploring pleasure. We are enhancing a level of self-trust and deep intimacy. So if there's been any injury or any betrayal or any, I don't know, trauma of some kind, or you've had just weird relations for most of your life, you can start actually attuning what is the way that I would love to be related to, which means I need to relate to myself in that style. And am I willing to receive the thing that I'm craving? So a lot of women say, oh, I wish she would just slow down. But in my experience, women go fast, when they're alone by themselves. So you're training, you're wanting the person to slow down, but you're actually training yourself where you're not actually capable of slowing down your breath, of attuning to sensation, of even allowing that degree of pleasure to start move through your system. It's like, let's just hurry up and get this over with. Yeah. Even though that's not necessarily what someone would say on the conscious level.
Well, it's interesting because you do hear the advice, oh no, the average woman takes, 25, 45 minutes to reach full engorgement, to be able to reach to orgasm. But then you hear the statistics of, well, how long does it take a woman to reach orgasm on her own? They're like, oh, well, 3 to 4 minutes, more or less. It's like, wait, there's something that's going on here. Now, I want to ask you, because this word advanced. First of all, we discussed in the other episodes too, that there's a difference between just your kind of normal jade egg practice, the way that it is done incorrectly, the damage that it can create, why pelvic floor specialist doctors speak out against it, but then they test your pelvic floor and then you say, well, just because people say they're doing Kegels doesn't mean they're doing them correctly, and they can lead towards dysfunction. And they go, yes, that's true. It's like, well, it's the exact same thing with the jade egg. So this concept of advanced, now, what did most women think that means potentially, and what actually is it?
A lot of women think, say, an advanced practice would be adding weights. So you do vaginal weightlifting, or advanced practice is taking 2 eggs and tapping them together internally, or advanced is, I don't know, folding a penis into a butterfly or bow, like with your vaginal muscles. Like, I don't know what they're...
I'm trying to think, would that be nice? I know the cherry in the mouth, you take the stem.
What are they actually imagining advanced is? And what advanced actually is not more fancy moves. What advanced is the capacity to feel more, the capacity to generate more sensation, and the capacity to actually handle higher voltage of pleasure, because for a lot of people they can't, and so they short circuit that very quickly. So what we're doing with quote unquote advanced work is actually, sometimes it can feel like we're slowing things down quite a lot, and we are, because I've always said this, but what is subtle isn't so subtle once your system is attuned to it. And so the subtle, you're like, I don't feel much, becomes this wild and huge sensation that you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was available to me. But when you start exploring it, then you realize it is available to you. Another concept of advance is not about doing fancy tricks and doing, I don't know, circus flips and flops all over the place. It's actually the capacity to be aligned and attuned with your own heart, with your own being, so you don't abandon yourself, you don't bargain for breadcrumbs, you actually are in your sovereignty, you're free, actually. You're free, you're incredibly confident in the bedroom. Like, it doesn't matter who you're with, you're gonna have a great time, and you have very clear sense of where you want to go, and a very deep sense of inner trust, where your capacity to actually receive and surrender has been well practiced to the point where then you can attune enough and go, this is actually a safe person. They actually have the capacity to take me somewhere new, and I'm really excited to have that experience.
When you say this, it's sort of, the image that came to my mind was someone who goes into the water of like the ocean, and they're like, oh, I want to experience a current. And so they start swirling the water around their body to create a current, versus, oh, if I move over here, there's an actual current, And it might feel subtle at first, but then also when you try and swim out of that current, or you just simply allow yourself to be taken with it, it's like, oh, this is really moving. There is something like really here, and it grows.
You're reminding me, I used to be a dive master, so it's like professional level scuba diving. And one of the forms of diving is current diving.
Okay.
And you're literally with a boat dropped off, where the current's strong. And then it's like, bye-bye, and you're just basically set free, and later on the boat catches up to you a lot further. And it's super cool because you don't have to do a lot. You're just literally, the current is carrying you, and you're observing what's going on and partaking. But for some people, that loss of control, like, you can't swim against it. It's a very strong current. So how can you relax your breath? Like when you're scuba diving, being anxious is danger. So you learn very quickly like how to just surrender and relax and trust. Like this path has been mapped out many, many times. Many people have been through this path. It's safe for me to surrender. I'm gonna watch. There's not gonna be any weird things in my way. Like we chose like a really nice, clear, open current place. So it really comes, it's your own, you bump up against your own beliefs and your own limitations. And that's what advanced work is really profound how few women really deeply love and respect themselves. Like there's a process of falling madly in love with yourself, a process of touching yourself in a way that has reverence and beauty in that quality of touch.
Well, I want to ask you in just a second, what type of things do people typically come up against? What are those fears? But before we do that, though, it's just, what have been some of the benefits then? Of, like you say, higher voltage charge. Like, what does that mean? Why would a woman want to have higher voltage? It's electricity, it sounds like, but.
Well, if we take it out of the sexual realm just for a second, because we'll come right back to that, but just for a second, when you walk around in life fully occupying your sovereign space, that means there isn't a portion of your body that you disassociate with. You're fully associated, so you've reassociated yourself with your body, and you fully occupy that space. Now you're much more safe walking through the world. Now you're going to get accurate read on situations and information. And because of the natural quality of a woman's sexual energy is extremely magnetic, and when you harness that magnetism, you can influence change and experiences in a very not so much delicate, but graceful, maybe way where you don't have to get angry and demand or be nagging or like those kind of terms that are often associated with intense women. You can still be intense, but there's this capacity to invite people into your vision of what's possible, and then they're like, I can't wait to help you. How do I help you? Because that form of benevolent magnetism that's heart-centered is irresistible. And so that's one of the outer world gifts of the practice. And then back to the bedroom and
so more magnetism,
but influence as well.
Okay.
The capacity to get what you want without like being a nag or demanding or like grasping at it, just like trusting, like this is what I would love, and allowing the people around you to go, yeah, I would love to have you have that too.
I feel that this is a sort of, as opposed to being oriented away from the things you don't want, you're orienting towards the things you do want,
yes.
But also then drawing them in.
Yes. So for the listeners, I don't know how true that is for you, but one of the big frustrations I hear from women is that they don't, first of all, to admit what you desire is a terrifying thing. So a lot of women know clearly, very clearly, exactly what they don't want.
Yep.
But when I lean in and ask, no, but what is it that you would really love? Or, another term, what would you want? Which I don't like to use, but that terminology.
What do you desire?
Then the woman will quickly say all the things she doesn't want. I'm like, that's not what I asked. I want to know what you actually desire. And there's a silence. And then you can see almost fear or like a little bit inhibited, because for us to articulate clearly what we would love is profoundly vulnerable, because we instantly face the pain of what if I don't get it? What if it's not possible for me? And that's so painful that women would rather not articulate the thing that they most would love in their life, which then doesn't allow it to come to them.
Well, and also too, I've sort of noticed a lot of times too, it's not really knowing then quite what it is that they want.
Yes.
And then definitely also not knowing how to get what it is that they want.
Yes. So that's the other thing too. How can you possibly then know what's possible if you've not stepped into this realm of possibility? That is why solo practice at this refined level is so crucial, because if you know in yourself, whoa, I have those sensations, and look what happens when I mean, say one of the practices we do, I'll go more into this in the explicit side, but we'll lie on our bellies and we'll cup the vulva, and maybe the finger is inserted or not, but there's this cupping of the vulva and then the movement of the hips and kind of grinding into that hand. And what that's doing is you're looking and searching, going, what feels good here? And then allowing the body this organic freedom to really move into that which feels good.
Well, in the explicit side, we'll talk about how I definitely can share some experiences about how that translates into the bedroom. It's very powerful.
Yeah. But I've noticed when women just have this one shift where they can be out of the position of kind of curled on their back and doing this, to trying different positions, to getting on their hands and knees.
Or even just having the freedom to move when on one's back.
To a partial squat, to even standing with a leg up on something, to being on the belly is very interesting because you have gravity working with you.
Yes.
You have the security, and it's a really nice, the clit loves pressure. It really does. And heat. So the heat is there, the pressure is there. And also for me, it's too much sensation if I'm just directly going with it. But if I'm grinding into my hand, then I can choose what the movement is like so that I increase the intensity or decrease the intensity.
And you can also choose the pressure too, by how much you keep your butt up or down.
Yeah, exactly.
So little tip to try that one out.
Yes.
And I think this is such an important thing, because when you start to move and feel from your body and how it can use your hand as opposed to your hand causing your body to do something to you while you then lay passive, is already starting to train you to be an active receiver, but then empower you to search out what feels good and know that you have options to find it.
One of the practices we did recently that was quite powerful is a position where the whole front body is stretched open.
Okay.
So one where you're lying down and you've arched so that the whole front line here gets stretched, your neck is open, chin is lifted, mouth is open, yawned open, the legs have dropped open. So everything's open, the arms are open, the hands are open. And laying that in an extremely vulnerable position, because this is usually like to protect. So now you've done the opposite. You're wide open and you're just breathing and you're resting. You're not making anything happen. And this is something in between every exercise. We would go into this opened, surrendered place and just relax there for a few breaths. And what I started to notice is this state of the relaxed arousal was coming in stronger and stronger. And some of the women had profound experiences with that, which I thought was so interesting because it felt like a slow class. You know, it felt like, is this actually interesting enough for people? And we were looking at how do we, when an emotion arises, say frustration or sadness, and we're in the midst of this, how do we work with that instead of avoid it or ignore it? Yeah.
So tell me a little bit then, what are some of the obstacles that come up with this sort of way of interacting with oneself deeper that you would say this is part of the advanced practice?
Well, I think one of the things I've noticed is there's a big anti-patriarchy movement, which in some ways has its place. In another way, though, when we attach onto, I am so angry, this has harmed me, I hate it, And all of our energetics is going towards, I hate this, it's destroyed my life, it's an awful thing, I hate, it's awful, and all my attention is there. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I want to open. You can't, because your focus is on the ugly, or what I call the yuck of life. And you're unable, just because you've trained yourself to be only aware of all the yuck, and very, very aware of the yuck, and you don't notice the yum that's coexisting. So part of advanced practice is the reclamation of our attention. What are we investing our attention? That's why it's called paying attention. It's costing you something. So what are we paying attention to, or investing our attention? And so the ladies who have a lot of this, yeah, but this is bad and it's wrong, and how can I have pleasure when the world's in pain? I'm like, how can you not? Do you want to be part of the problem, or do you want to be part of the solution? If you want to be part of the solution, you're going to need to have a reclamation of your attention, and you're going to need to become masterful at generating yum and noticing yum, so that, and this is why I guess I'm called a counterculture creatrix, so that you have the sustenance, you have the energy in your body to handle all the bombardment of caca that's out there, and you can stand in your space and go yes and instead of no but. And that yes and conversation is what we all need. It's what creates more beauty and more delight and better relations and all that great stuff.
I'm still thinking about the word caca, because I lived in Portugal. And
What does it mean?
It means poop.
Yeah,
And then
in French.
And then you said no but after, and I'm like, oh, that kind of goes together as well. Well, this is the thing, though. So, I mean, if your focus then is on the negative, or if your focus is on the positive, you're talking about a magnetism as well, and the ability to appreciate something that is there in front of you. That must be a really important shift. What have the ladies noticed then when they make that shift?
Well, there's the thing that instantly seems to happen is people feel like they have more energy. They feel energized instead of depleted. So that's a big indicator.
Yes.
The second thing is they actually become more curious. They want to lean in toward life. They want to get curious. If they're single, they get curious again, about what's there, what's life, what's coming, what am I bringing into my life? If they're partnered, maybe a renewed curiosity about this human being that they're sharing their life with, curiosity about what could I explore next, how much beauty can I self-generate. The palette becomes wider and more colors available instead of black and white. And a sense of confidence is what also I've noticed that women, it's like a quiet confidence. It doesn't need to be noticed. It's just there. It's like, you know what? I'm home. I'm fine. And I noticed that across the board, no matter the age, but especially with the ones who are a little bit older, who have felt like for some reason, because of their age or something's going on, that the people don't notice them anymore, or they're whatever, suddenly feel like I'm noticing me and that's enough. And then that creates this radiance or this beauty that then does have a magnetic quality.
What are some of the obstacles that come up on a physical level then? Not just I don't know it, that I don't want, but what are some of the physical obstacles that come up? Maybe what are some of the emotional ones as well?
Before we go to the explicit?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get us there, don't worry.
Well, big obstacles is not feeling enough. Interoceptive awareness is extremely minimal in most people. And when someone comes to an advanced class, they often believe they're advanced because they somehow have been able to put an egg inside their vagina, or they've been around X amount of years, or they've done X amount of things. But they still can't really feel. So that's one of the obstacles is the lack of development of the interoceptive awareness. If you don't know what interoceptive awareness is, I apologize for not explaining it earlier, but it's the capacity to experience from the inside what's happening. So if I were to describe that, rather than being the finger feeling the vaginal walls, it's you as the vaginal walls sensing the finger. And that is an extremely important capacity, and we've seen it in research as well, that sexual satisfaction is improved with the increase of interoceptive awareness. Somatic awareness, like where are you in your body? Like if we've had trauma or a bad surgery or an intense birth or just numbness over time of being exposed to stressful life, we're not always aware sensorially of our whole body. We're not occupying that space. And I just remember a friend years ago who was dying of ovarian cancer, and she said to me, she said, "Saya, the only reason this is spread and is winning is because I wasn't occupying my whole body, and so it had the space to do so." And I remember feeling incredibly sad about that, and it was very insightful, but also it was almost like too late for her to like come to that realization.
I can imagine for some listeners that this seems really out there and extreme. What were some of the ways that maybe are easier to grasp when women are feeling pain or numbness? What's some of the emotions that?
But those are some other obstacles. So then, not the numbness, not feeling or having pain and discomfort, or in one specific area, for example, or just maybe painful periods, or just in menopause, just kind of feeling like not a big fire, not a big desire.
Well, that's one of the things I've heard you mention, and I've actually just seen when you talk to groups, women who are like, you know what, forget sex, I'm bored with it, it's never been good for me, or I've had a surgery, now it's not good for me, or I've reached a certain age and I've just retired, my sexuality because it just doesn't feel like much to me, and I'm just doing this for my partner, I'm sick of doing it for them.
Yes.
And so, what have you noticed then in terms of that emotional transformation? And I think where I'd like to transition here a little bit before we go over into the members area is that personal touch that you bring when you make this something that is bespoke, whether on a group or a lot of these women that then work with you one-on-one. Why does that matter? What difference does that make?
The bespoke aspect?
Yeah, the bespoke aspect, especially when confronting some of these different emotions.
Again, it has to do with attunement, so and limbic resonance. So there's, when you've given up hope or there's obstacles in your way, to be in the presence of someone who is embodied in that way and knows what's possible and is living what's possible, even if they don't say anything, that possibility becomes more possible for the person. So that's one thing. That's why I'm really adamant about people need to walk their talk, especially in the realm of sexuality. The second is attunement, the capacity. I've done this for so long, so I have a high attunement skill of going beyond what even the person is tracking and being able to then go, we need to slow down here, or we need to adjust this. And so that's really cool. It's a part of my work that I love a lot. And it's also amazing because then I watch this beautiful person just suddenly go, oh, I didn't know I had this. And that's just magnificent.
So the bespoke, then, it's a personalized coaching that they're getting, where then you can really tailor it to the specific things that are coming up
say in
for
this
them.
particular group, and I'm watching, on the screen, which I have to say I prefer this live, like in person. But on the screen.
What has been the effectivity, though? Because, travel can be quite a lot, get people in the same space.
But I have to say I still prefer live, because then I can look around the room and it's just nicer than
you have even more limbic
screens.
resonance.
Yeah. But I can see, oh, wait a second, that person isn't actually moving their hips correctly.
That's incredible that you can do that over a screen.
And then I can just say, Teresa, let's show me your hips a bit more, move your camera so I can see. Yeah, okay, we need to please adjust it this way. And then she tries, I'm like, yes, how does that feel? And she gives a thumbs up. So that's the fun part of the work I get to do.
Well, I hope that you had a chance to get a little taste here of what you can actually do to train yourself to experience more pleasure, have a higher voltage, to have some agency when it comes to actually knowing and pursuing and bringing someone along into a place that brings you more pleasure in a sexual experience, which we've seen so many times that it doesn't matter which partner starts this first, but the other partner then gets brought into it, and
Yes.
things change towards mutual pleasure for both. Well, in the members area, we're going to get a little bit more into some of the juicier stories, some more details on that, as well as
your experience,
my personal experience
what it's like.
of what it's like, because I can testify as a partner, just sensationally emotional, like the psychological connection with you, and just the amount of tremendous pleasure that it registers in my body is just otherworldly.
Awesome.
So we'll jump over onto that, members. If you're not part of that, highly recommend you check it out. We also have a erotic audio where we then put into practice what it is that we're talking about.
Well, that'll be an interesting one for
Well,
this
I'm
one.
thinking about that hand grinding thing. What's that personal experience like for me when I join in on that practice there?
There you go.
To join us for the complete and explicit version of this podcast, just simply upgrade your membership and you'll get instant access.